Picture the following. Trump is sitting in the Oval Office with a bunch of people authorized to be there, top government officials. Now, he gets upset about something, whether justified or not. He berates people around him. Now, what are the consequences for him? What are the consequences if he has the worst of tantrums and starts throwing chairs over? None at all. Of course, it's not pleasant for the people around him. Perhaps some get fired on the spot. Perhaps it's traumatizing to others. Many of those probably will agree with him, either because they actually do or because they feel they have to. But if someone else gets upset at Trump, just a thought. Why would someone get upset at Trump? How could someone get upset at Trump? As a child, I remember constructing this Lego rocket, and I showed it to one of my parents' friends. We went down to discuss whether it could fly or not, and they said it couldn't, but I insisted it could. They asked me how, and I said, well, you just have to throw it, and it flies. Once. Now, whoever got upset at Trump was not seen in that office anytime soon. They got upset once. This is, of course, not specific to Trump and the situation at hand whatsoever. I'd like to explore the argument that anger is the prerogative of the powerful. Anger is the prerogative of the powerful. It's probably quite intuitive, in fact. Your boss gets upset at you, and you work harder. You get upset at your boss, and you lose your job. Your child speaks up to you, you reprimand them. You get upset at your child, and they face the consequences. Can you think of a situation in which, where there is a power gradient, there are not negative consequences for the display of anger, for the less toward the more powerful, where there wouldn't be for the more toward the less powerful? Now, there are admittedly edge cases, such as a dying patient getting angry with their nurses. They have literally nothing left to lose or gain from any such expression. But is that not itself a function of their indifference to the consequences? Even a child, when it's a baby and gets upset, that anger is forgiven because the baby cannot yet exercise self-regulation, and you also just wanted to survive, so you put up with the anger. But as soon as it's a bit older and has gained a degree of self-consciousness, when it answers back at its parents, it is disciplined. Emotionally dysregulated employees at work, all else being equal, fare less well than more composed ones. I'd argue that this, in fact, is actually pre-human. Aggression in animals, in legible dominance hierarchies, unprovoked aggression flows downward. I wonder whether it's also the other way around. So the display of anger is at its core an assertion of entitlement. A chicken-sized dog may vociferate ferociously at a much larger dog because they want to perform dominance that they do not possess. They do that precisely to assert that they are the more powerful party and could inflict consequences when, in fact, they're not. I posit that this works precisely because life has so strongly internalized the fact that anger is the prerogative of the more powerful. So if anger is observed, it must be because there is power behind it. Now, I use the word display because power does not demand that, in fact, does not care whether those beneath feel less, but rather that they display less. The composure required of a subordinate is theatrical rather than emotional. The tension caused, perhaps precisely being the point. It hurts to be yelled at, but even more to bite your tongue at the same time. So it's really about how it is more about who gets to show anger. Tellingly, anger toward the establishment is universally codified as punishable. Sedition laws, statutes criminalizing the insult of a public official, or burning a flag. These are not incidental. They are the institutional expression of exactly this logic that I've been arguing for. That upward anger is dangerous enough to be illegal, while downward anger requires no such regulation because the powerless already absorb it. Now, this line of thinking was prompted a few months ago at work when a new intern came into my team who, by most measures, was a far better performer than one of the associates already in place. I send them to work with each other, frequently sending tasks to both of them, with the expectation that they would divide the work between themselves. Often, I would have to ask her to explain the task to him because she simply understood my instructions better and delivered higher quality work, which I later found out that he was feeling quite humiliated by. During the 3 months that we were working together, on 6 occasions he had missed a day because he was sick, and on 3 occasions he arrived well past midday. When I would ask him politely if anything was wrong, whether he was coming to work, he would lash out at me and turn to profanity. At one point, he asked for a meeting with my superior, in which I had the pleasure, there's this German word Belustigung, of watching him in real time being triggered by my perfectly calm, perfectly composed communication. That made me think, why does he think that it is his prerogative to be angry with me? Am I not clearly the more powerful of the two? I control his promotions and his bonuses and whether he stays in the company or not. So is this maybe just a chicken dog instinct in action? Or does he genuinely feel more entitled because perhaps he's from here and I'm not? Obviously, there's the cultural and gender-based view on power differentials, which definitely deserves a separate exposition. Perhaps I'll explore that some other time. But I think that my hypothesis still holds. Anger is a prerogative of the powerful. I should note, however, that in the long term, this works against the powerful potentially. An often quoted principle in organizational theory is that there are 4 ways of motivating people. In order from the least effective to the most effective, it is threat, money, status, and ideology. So you can coerce compliance through threat, but the moment it lifts, people flee or retaliate. Withdraw the money, and they stop at the latest at the end of the pay cycle, but they won't necessarily run away or threaten you. Status will be a significantly stronger motivator for hard and effective work. But unless they are motivated by ideology or religion, few people will actually die for you. Anger implicitly is a threat. So while it can exact compliance in people, over time it backfires. Resentment accumulates, and people either defect or retaliate, costing the angry one power in the long term. For a less powerful party, however, anger is costly in both the short and the long term. For the more powerful, it is only perhaps negative in the long term. So next time that someone gets angry at you, or conversely, you get upset with someone else, take a moment to think about what makes them or you feel entitled to that anger. What makes you assume that you are the more powerful party? Or conversely, that you need to fake it to hide your chicken-sized nature? As with all such videos I release, there is a very specific, fairly obvious point that I'm leaving unspoken, but I'll leave that to you, the listener, to identify the situation that I am not naming.